Hello, Red Cedar, coming to you today from my workshop with just a few thoughts. I like rhythm. I like routine, control over my day, and my to-do list. Without it, I tend to get lazy and regret how I've spent the day. I'm also uncomfortable with situations where my main duty is to wait patiently. And even worse still, when the end time of that main duty is unknown. There's a name for this. It's called restlessness. It's the opposite of contentment and joy. But so it's interesting that God's assignment for the church around the world right now is to do nothing, is to hunker down in our homes and wait. But I began thinking, what if one purpose for those who belong to Jesus during this time is rest, slowing us down, creating space where we can take inventory of our lives? What if this restrictive space is, for me, and maybe for many of you, the best environment to restore a lost discipline, the discipline of rest, or more specifically, the discipline of Sabbath? Now, right now, our Sabbath, as a church, our Sunday rhythm has been thrown off. Though that said, there has been an incredible amount of encouragement to hear of many of you who are still staying in that rhythm from home with tuning into our service. But Sabbath in the Bible is not a be in church Sunday morning checklist. It's something much grander. Listen to these words from Genesis chapter 2. And as you listen, see if you can detect a certain emphasis in these few verses. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation. Last year, Kathy and I read a book called Subversive Sabbath. In that book, the author points out this interesting feature of Genesis chapter 2, the verses I just read. He said there are three sentences of seven Hebrew words, and the middle word in each of those sentences is the word for the seventh day. It's a deliberate literary device to show that the seventh day is the goal of all creation. The author goes on to say, the climax of creation is not humanity, it's the day of rest. The day of rest is the climax when creation comes together and lives at peace and harmony with one another. And then I appreciate his comment about our culture. He says we're no longer celebrating God. In other words, we're not ceasing and resting, embracing and feasting. Instead, he says our culture is celebrating celebration. He goes on and says the Sabbath is a scheduled weekly reminder that we are not what we do. Rather, we are who we're loved by. Adam and Eve's first full day of existence was a day of rest, not work. The Sabbath teaches us that we do not work to please God. Rather, we rest because God is already pleased with the work he has accomplished in us. Again, all of those quotes are from the book, The Subversive Sabbath, and I highly recommend it to you. So what if this restricted space for me, and maybe for many of you, is again the best environment to restore a lost discipline in us, the discipline of rest, of Sabbath. Kathy has been pointing out lately that spring is still coming despite everything that's happening. Despite the virus spreading, shutting down our economy, taxing our health system, and generating legitimate fear, the Sabbath, this practice of the Sabbath, invites us to look out from our windows, take walks. Spring is still coming. It's a reminder that order still triumphs over chaos because of our Creator. One old timer said it this way: look at creation, look at it all. This is the world God has given to his enemies. Imagine the world he will give to his friends. So thank you, Father. Thank you for this restricted space. I trust you. I invite you into this place to restore in me and perhaps many others this beautiful rhythm of Sabbath, this subversive rhythm of rest, in order to be more aware of your presence.